Take a deep breath with me and let it go. Good. Tonight, we're going somewhere quiet, somewhere safe, somewhere that exists just slightly to the left of the ordinary world, a place where books are more than paper and ink, where shelves have preferences, and where silence itself has texture and weight and meaning. Tonight, we're visiting the Whispering Library. And you are the librarian. It's evening. The sun has just set beyond the tall arched windows, painting the western sky in shades of lavender and rose gold. The last patron left 20 minutes ago, an elderly scholar who always stays until closing, who always thanks you 3 times before leaving, who always handles the books like they're made of butterfly wings. Now the library is yours. Just yours. For the next few hours, you have this entire magnificent, impossible, gently magical place entirely to yourself. You stand at the main circulation desk, your hand resting on its smooth wooden surface. The desk is ancient, centuries old, made of oak so dark it's almost black, worn smooth by countless librarians before you. Sometimes, when the library is very quiet, you swear you can feel them through the wood, all those patient keepers of books, all those gentle guides through pages and knowledge. They're part of the desk now, just as you'll be someday. The thought doesn't frighten you. It comforts you. Before you on the desk, a brass lamp with a green glass shade, casting warm golden green light. A stack of books that need to be reshelved, 7 of them, varying sizes, their spines showing titles and languages both familiar and strange. A ceramic cup, still half full of tea that's gone cold but smells faintly of chamomile and honey. A leather-bound ledger where you record, well, not everything. Some things the library does can't be recorded. Some things can only be witnessed and remembered. You open the ledger to today's date and pick up your pen, a fountain pen, black lacquer with a gold nib, that writes in ink the exact color of midnight. Evening shift, you write. All patrons departed safely. Library in good spirits. Beginning evening cataloguing and reshelving. The moment you write the word reshelving, you hear it, a polite cough. Not a human cough. The sound of a book clearing its throat. You look at the stack of books waiting to be returned to their proper places. The top one, a slim volume bound in blue cloth, is vibrating very slightly. Not violently. Just, hopefully. The way a dog might wag its tail when it knows you're about to take it for a walk. You pick it up carefully, turning it to read the spine, Poems of the Quiet Hours by someone whose name has faded to illegibility. The book is warm in your hands, pleased to be held. I know, you tell it softly. You've been away from your shelf for 3 whole days. You must be homesick. The book seems to settle at your words, reassured. You gather the other 6 books, stacking them carefully in the crook of your left arm. They nestle together like sleeping cats, finding comfortable positions against each other. One of them, a thick tome about botanical mysteries, hums very quietly, almost below hearing. It always hums when it's content. The Whispering Library stretches before you. It's vast, but not overwhelmingly so. Grand, but not cold. The shelves rise high, 3 stories at least, connected by spiral staircases and narrow walkways with wrought iron railings. Everywhere you look, Books. Thousands upon thousands of them. Tens of thousands. Maybe more. You've never counted, and you suspect the library wouldn't appreciate being reduced to a number anyway. The evening light filters through the tall windows, stained glass depicting scenes from stories you half recognize. A tree with golden apples, a door in a hillside, a ship with silver sails. The colored light, ruby and sapphire and amber and emerald, falls across the books and floors in shifting patterns as the last daylight fades. But the library isn't growing dark. It never truly grows dark. As the natural light fails, other lights take over. Lamps suspended on long chains from the vaulted ceiling begin to glow, not electric lights, but something softer, warmer. The kind of light that existed before electricity, that will exist after. The light of attention itself, of consciousness, of awareness made visible. And the books themselves, some of them glow faintly. Not all. Just certain ones, at certain times, for reasons only they understand. A soft phosphorescence, like moonlight captured between pages. Tonight you can see at least a dozen scattered throughout the shelves, gentle points of luminescence in the growing dusk. Let's get you all home, you murmur to the books. The blue poetry book pulses once with warmth, as if saying yes, please. Your first stop is the poetry section, Section L, 3rd floor, West Wing. You climb the spiral staircase slowly, one hand on the railing, the other supporting the books. The stairs are iron, old and sturdy, and they sing slightly under your weight, not creaking, but almost musical, like each step is a note in a very long, very slow melody. As you climb, you pass other sections, history, which sighs a lot, weighed down by everything it contains. Philosophy, which mutters to itself, constantly questioning. Fairy tales, which giggles softly when no one's looking, and sometimes even when they are. 3rd floor. The air is different up here, older somehow, dustier in a good way, carrying the scent of paper and leather and time itself. You walk down the narrow corridor between shelves, the books in your arms seeming to lean forward, orienting toward their destination the way flowers turn toward sun. Section L, Poetry. The shelves here are quieter than most. Poetry prefers silence, prefers the spaces between words. But they're not unfriendly. Just contemplative. You find the spot where Poems of the Quiet Hours belongs. You know it instantly, can see the gap where it should be, like a missing tooth. The books on either side lean away slightly, making room. There, you whisper, home. The books on either side lean back in, welcoming their neighbor back. One of them, Verses for the In-Between Times, actually reaches out with its spine, nudging the returned book gently. A greeting. A recognition. We're all here together. You continue reshelving, moving through the library with practiced ease. The botanical mystery goes to Section M, 2nd floor, East Wing. As you place it on the shelf, it opens slightly of its own accord, showing you an illustration of a night-blooming flower, a thank you, perhaps, or just sharing something beautiful. You smile and gently close it. 3 novels, adventure stories, well-loved, their spines creased from many readings, go to Section F, 1st floor, South Wing. They practically leap onto the shelf, happy to be back among their fellow tales of daring and discovery. The entire shelf seems to brighten as they return, like a family made whole again. A History of Ancient Cities goes to Section D, first floor, north wing. It's a heavy book, and as you place it, you hear its sigh, that characteristic sound of the history section. So much remembering. So much weight. You pat its spine sympathetically before leaving it. A cookbook, which has been particularly popular lately, its pages splattered with evidence of use, goes to Section R, ground floor, central hall. The cooking section always smells faintly of whatever season it is. Right now, cinnamon and apples, harvest spices, the scent of autumn made edible. One book left, a thin volume of essays about silence. How perfect. You hold this last book and realize you're not entirely sure where it belongs. The title is clear, On the Nature of Silence. The author's name is there, but you've never heard of them. And there's no call number on the spine, which is unusual. The library is usually meticulous about such things. You close your eyes and do what you always do when uncertain. You listen. Not with your ears, or not only with your ears. You listen with that other sense, that librarian sense that develops after you've spent enough time here. The sense that lets you know where books want to be, where they need to be, where they belong. And then you feel it, a gentle pull. North. Up. Section B, which shouldn't be right, because Section B is biography, and this isn't a biography. But the pull is unmistakable. You've learned to trust these feelings. So you walk north, toward the biography section, climbing the stairs again to the second floor. Your feet know the way even though your mind isn't sure. Your body has become part of the library's geography, learned its moods and rhythms and unspoken rules. Section B, Biography. Lives preserved in words. Stories of real people who became, through the alchemy of writing, characters. Immortality of a sort. And there, on the third shelf from the top, you see something you've never noticed before. A gap. Not where a book has been removed, but a different kind of gap. A waiting space. A vacancy that's been there all along, just waiting for the right book to fill it. The book settles with a sound like a long-held breath being released. And then, the entire shelf shifts. Not violently, not even quickly, but definitely, deliberately. The books rearrange themselves by perhaps an inch each, shuffling positions, finding new relationships to each other. It's something you've seen before. The library does this sometimes, reorganizing according to principles you don't fully understand. Principles of resonance, maybe. Of meaning. Of which books need to be near each other for reasons that transcend the Dewey Decimal System. You watch, patient, respectful, as the shelf completes its rearrangement. When it stops, you notice something. Where On the Nature of Silence now sits, flanked by two biographies, one of a poet, one of a composer, there's a faint glow emanating from behind the shelf. Not bright. Just a soft luminescence, like distant candlelight. And you can see, now that the books have shifted, that there's something back there. Behind the shelf. In the gap between the shelf and the wall. Something that wasn't visible before. Or perhaps wasn't there before. With the whispering library, both are possible. You reach carefully into the gap, your hand moving past the spines of the books, into the space behind. Your fingers touch something. Paper. Leather. The unmistakable texture of a book. You grasp it gently and pull it out into the light. It's a journal. Small, perhaps 6 inches by 8 inches, bound in leather that was once a deep burgundy but has faded to the color of dried rose petals. The leather is soft, worn smooth by handling. This book has been held many times, opened many times, loved many times. There's no title on the cover or spine. No author's name. No call number or label. Just the leather, and a small brass clasp holding it closed, and a sense of waiting, of patience, of being ready, after a long time, to be found. You carry it over to one of the reading alcoves, small nooks with cushioned window seats, built into the walls between shelves. Each alcove has a lamp, and you switch this one on, its warm light pushing back the growing darkness. You settle onto the window seat, the journal in your lap. Outside the window, night has fallen completely now. The sky is deep blue-black, scattered with stars that seem brighter here than elsewhere, as if the library's presence somehow intensifies them. A crescent moon hangs like a silver smile. You open the clasp carefully. It releases with a soft click. And then, slowly, respectfully, you open the journal to its first page. The handwriting is elegant but not pretentious. Clear but personal. Written in ink that's faded from black to a warm brown, like the color of strong tea. At the top of the first page, a date, October 17th, 1887. Below that, the first entry. I have accepted the position of evening librarian at the Whispering Library. My predecessor, Mrs. Eleanor Ashford, spent this afternoon showing me the particular customs of this place, customs that are not written in any manual, that cannot be taught in any school of library science. The books here are alive, she told me, not in the way animals are alive, but in the way that places can be alive, or memories, or the moment between sleeping and waking. They have preferences. They have moods. They have wisdom to share, if you know how to listen. I confess I did not entirely believe her. But this evening, as I closed the library for the first time alone, I heard it, the whispers. Thousands of them, all around me, like the library itself was breathing. And I understood. This is not a job. This is a calling. This is a life. You stop reading and look up, staring into the middle distance, processing what you've just read. Over 130 years ago. This journal belonged to another evening librarian. Someone who stood where you're standing. Who walked these same floors. Who heard these same whispers. Someone who understood. You turn to the next page. And the next. The entries aren't dated consecutively. Sometimes weeks pass between them, sometimes months. But each one is a small window into this other librarian's experience. November 3rd, 1887. Tonight I discovered that Section G, Geography and Travel, prefers to be read from when it's raining. The books there told me, not in words, but in the way they presented themselves, certain spines catching the light more than others. During this evening's rainstorm, I pulled down Travels Through the Silk Road and opened it. The pages didn't just describe the journey. I could smell the spices, feel the desert wind. The library was showing me something, teaching me. I am beginning to understand the difference between information and wisdom. December 20th, 1887. The children's section sang tonight. Actually sang. A chorus of picture books, their illustrations somehow producing sound, melodies without words, harmonies made of color and story. It lasted perhaps 30 seconds. I wept. I do not know why. Beauty, perhaps. Or recognition of magic in a world that increasingly pretends magic does not exist. February 12, 1888. Mr. Patterson returned a book today that had been checked out for 6 months, far past its due date. But when I examined it, there were no late fees in the ledger. The library had forgiven the lateness. Later, Mrs. Ashford, who still visits occasionally, explained, "Some books go to people when those people need them, not when it's convenient for our filing system. The library understands timing in ways we don't. Trust it." I am learning to trust many things I do not understand. The entries continue through years. Seasons pass. The handwriting changes subtly, becoming more confident, more assured, but never losing its elegance or care. Some entries are practical, notes about which sections need more light, which shelves are developing personalities, which books are becoming influential among the others. Yes, books have social structures, of course they do. Some entries are philosophical, meditations on the nature of stories, on why humans need books, on what it means to be a keeper of knowledge in a world that's always changing. Some entries are simply observations of beauty, a particular quality of afternoon light through stained glass, the way dust motes dance in lamplight, the sound of rain on the library's copper roof. And slowly, you begin to notice something. The entries are growing. Sadder isn't quite the right word. More wistful, perhaps. More aware of endings. June 4th, 1923. 36 years I have walked these floors. 36 years of evening shifts, of reshelving and cataloguing and listening to whispers. I am not as young as I was. My hands shake sometimes when I climb the spiral stairs. But the library has been patient with me, as it is patient with all things. I wonder who will come after me. I wonder if they will love this place as I have loved it. I hope so. I pray so. September 17th, 1924. I have made a decision. When my time here ends, whether by retirement or other means, I will leave a journal. This journal. Hidden somewhere, it will be found by the next evening librarian, when they are ready to find it. I will leave them the gift Mrs. Ashford gave me, knowledge that they are not alone, that others have walked this path, that the love they feel for this place is shared across time. You turn to the final entry, your hands trembling slightly. October 15th, 1925. Tomorrow is my last day. I am retiring, not because I want to, but because my body insists. 73 years old now. Time moves forward, even in magical places. Even here. To whoever finds this, hello. Welcome. You are the keeper now. You are the evening librarian. The library has chosen you, yes, chosen, not the other way around. You may not have realized it yet, but it did. Be patient with the books. Listen to them. They have lived longer than us and will live longer still. They have wisdom we can barely comprehend. Be patient with yourself. There will be nights when you don't understand what's happening, when the library does things that seem impossible. That's good. That's right. Mystery is important. Not everything needs explaining. And be patient with time. Years will pass. You will grow older. But the library will remain, and so will the whispers, and so will the magic. You are part of something larger now. Something that stretches backward into history and forward into a future we cannot see. Take comfort in that. Take strength from it. I wish I could meet you. I wish I could shake your hand and tell you stories and show you all the secret wonders I've discovered. But perhaps, in a way, I am meeting you. Through these pages. Through time itself, folded like a letter. Take care of this place. It will take care of you. With love and respect across the years. Margaret Elizabeth Winters. Evening Librarian, The Whispering Library. 1887 to 1925 inch. You close the journal carefully. Your vision is blurred. When did you start crying? You sit there in the window alcove, the journal in your lap, looking out at the night sky. Margaret Elizabeth Winters. You know her name now. You know her story. You know that over a century ago, she sat in this library, perhaps in this very alcove, and felt what you feel. Knew what you know. Loved what you love. And she left this for you. Across time. Across the vast gulf of years and change and everything that separates then from now. She left you a message. You are not alone. Around you, the library whispers. It's always whispering. You're so used to it now that you barely notice. But tonight, with this journal in your hands, with Margaret's words fresh in your mind, you hear them differently. You hear the thousands of books, each one containing worlds, containing lives, containing thoughts that someone once thought important enough to preserve. You hear the shelves, settling and shifting, caring for their charges. You hear the building itself, ancient and patient and impossibly alive. And underneath all of it, you hear something else, approval, recognition, welcome. The library is glad you found the journal. The library wanted you to find it, perhaps. Margaret hid it, but the library remembered where it was. And tonight, when you were ready, when the time was right, it showed you. Because that's what this place does. It gives you what you need, when you need it. You have work to do still. Cataloguing, organizing, tending. But first, you need to find a place for this journal. Not hidden away again. No, that time has passed. But somewhere special. Somewhere it can be honored. Somewhere you can return to it when you need to remember that you're part of something larger. Somewhere it can wait for the librarian who comes after you. You rise from the window seat slowly, Margaret's journal cradled in both hands like something sacred. Because it is, isn't it? Sacred in the way that connection across time is sacred. In the way that one person reaching out to another through the years is an act of faith, of hope, of love. You need to find the right place for this. Not just any shelf, not just any section. It needs somewhere that honors what it is, a bridge between librarians, a testament to continuity, a promise that this work matters and endures. But where? You stand in the alcove, thinking, and then you feel it again, that gentle pull, that librarian's intuition that's part instinct and part the library itself guiding you. Down. Ground floor. East. You descend the spiral staircase, your free hand trailing along the iron railing. The stairs sing their slow melody again. Tonight it sounds different, not sad, exactly, but thoughtful, contemplative. The way music sounds when it's remembering something beautiful. Ground floor. The main hall. During the day, this space is filled with activity. Patrons moving between sections, the soft rustle of pages being turned, the occasional whispered conversation, the steady tap of your own footsteps as you help people find what they're seeking. But at night, it transforms. It becomes vast and quiet and somehow more itself. The high vaulted ceiling disappears into shadow above. The marble floor reflects the warm lamplight, making it seem like you're walking on liquid gold. The air itself feels thicker, more present, as if the absence of human voices allows the library's own voice to emerge more clearly. You walk east, past the circulation desk where you began the evening. Past Section A, Art and Architecture, which always smells faintly of paint and stone dust. Past the periodicals area, where newspapers and magazines from around the world rest in their wooden holders, whispering to each other about current events that will soon become history. And then you see something you've passed 100 times but never really noticed. A doorway. Small, arched, set into the wall between two towering bookcases. It's easy to miss, designed to be overlooked, perhaps, by those who aren't meant to find it. But tonight, with Margaret's journal in your hands, you see it clearly. You reach for the handle. It's cool under your palm, but not cold. Welcoming, in its own quiet way. You turn it. The door opens silently, no creak, no resistance, swinging inward to reveal a room you've never seen before. It's small, perhaps 15 feet square, but it feels infinite. The walls are lined floor to ceiling with shelves, but these shelves don't hold regular books. They hold journals. Dozens of them. Maybe hundreds. Each one different, each one clearly personal, clearly precious. And you understand immediately what this is. The remembrance alcove. The room where the librarians are remembered. A single lamp hangs from the ceiling, its light warm and gentle, illuminating the space without harsh shadows. The floor is carpeted, thick, deep burgundy, muffling your footsteps to absolute silence. You move to the nearest shelf and begin to read the spines. Each journal has a small brass plate beneath it, engraved with a name and dates. Cornelius Webb, Head Librarian, 1823 to 1854. Sarah Oakhart, Children's Librarian, 1891 to 1919. James Fitzwilliam, Evening Librarian, 1854 to 1887. You continue moving along the shelves, reading names, bearing witness to the lives lived in service to this place. Some served for decades. Others for just a few years. Perhaps they moved on, or perhaps the library wasn't the right fit, or perhaps life called them elsewhere. But they're all remembered here, all honored. And there, on a shelf at eye level, you find a gap. A space between two journals, exactly the width of the one you're holding. To the left, Eleanor Ashford, Reference Librarian, 1860 to 1892. To the right, Thomas Brightwell, Morning Librarian, 1919 to 1947. And in between, where Margaret's journal should go, there's a brass plate already in place. As if it's been waiting. As if the library knew. Margaret Elizabeth Winters, Evening Librarian, 1887 to 1925. It fits perfectly. Of course it does. The journal settles onto the shelf with that same sound you've heard all evening, that exhale of contentment, of arrival, of being exactly where it belongs. And then something remarkable happens. The other journals glow. Not brightly, just a soft luminescence, barely visible in the lamplight. But definitely there. All of them, all at once, acknowledging the newest edition. Welcoming Margaret home. Saying, yes, you belong here, your story is part of our story. We remember you, we honor you. The light pulses once, twice, 3 times. Then fades. But the feeling remains, the sense of completion, of rightness, of a circle being closed or perhaps opened. You're not entirely sure which. You look around the room at all these journals, all these lives, all these keepers of the library. They all faced what you face. The long quiet hours. The weight of responsibility. The joy of helping someone find the perfect book. The frustration when the cataloging system makes no sense. The wonder when the library does something impossible. The loneliness of being the only one here, and the strange comfort of never being truly alone. They all heard the whispers. They all learned to listen. And they all, every single one, left something behind. Left a record. Left proof that they were here, that they mattered, that this work is real and important and worth doing. You pull out your phone. You're not supposed to have it on during shifts, but tonight is different, tonight is special, and you take a photo of Margaret's journal in its place. Not to post anywhere. Not to share. Just to remember. Just to have. Then you tuck your phone away and stand there a moment longer, letting the room work its magic on you. You notice something else now. On a small table in the center of the room sits a leather-bound book, larger than the journals, its cover blank. You approach it and open to the first page. The remembrance register is written at the top in calligraphy so beautiful it must have taken hours. Below that, entries. Signatures. Really. Each one different. Each one written by a different librarian. The first signature is from 1803. The most recent is from 3 years ago. Your predecessor, the one who trained you for 2 weeks before moving across the country, who told you, the library will teach you everything else you need to know. Just listen. You hadn't understood at the time. But you understand now. You turn to the next blank page. Today's date is already written at the top, in that same beautiful calligraphy. Waiting for you. The library knew you would come here tonight. The library has been waiting for this moment just as much as you have. You set the pen to paper and write your name. Your full name. And beneath it, the date you started working here. The ink flows smoothly, darkly, permanently. Indelible. When you're done, your name sits there on the page with all the others, part of the lineage now, officially. Not just in feeling but in fact. Thank you, you whisper to the room, to the journals, to all the librarians who came before. Thank you for making space for me. Thank you for remembering. Thank you for showing me that I'm part of something larger. The room doesn't answer in words. But you feel the response anyway, a warmth, an embrace, an acknowledgement. You're welcome. You belong here. We're glad you came. You leave the remembrance alcove reluctantly, looking back once before closing the door. The journals are still there, silent now but present. Margaret's among them, finally home after being hidden for nearly a century. Finally at rest, its message delivered. The library feels different now. Not changed, exactly, but more. As if finding Margaret's journal and placing it in the remembrance alcove has deepened your connection to this place. As if you've been accepted more fully into its mysteries. You check your watch, though time feels strange tonight, elastic and uncertain. It's just past 8 p.m. Hours of your shift remaining. Hours of quiet work, of gentle tending, of being present with the books and shelves and whispers. But first, you need something. Something warm to drink. Something to ground you after the emotional intensity of the last half hour. As you walk, you notice the library is more active than usual. Not with patrons, they're all gone, but with itself. Books are reshuffling on shelves, rearranging themselves with soft sliding sounds. Lamps are adjusting their brightness, some growing dimmer, others brighter, creating patterns of light and shadow that shift like breathing. The library is processing something, integrating what just happened, acknowledging the change, the completion, the rightness of Margaret's journal finding its place. Or maybe it's celebrating. Yes, that's what it feels like. A quiet celebration, a gentle joy, the satisfaction of loose ends being tied, of stories being completed. The break room is small but comfortable. A sink, a small refrigerator, a microwave, an electric kettle. A few cabinets holding mugs and tea and coffee. A small table with 2 chairs. A corkboard covered in notes and reminders and a schedule that's rarely accurate because the library has its own ideas about when things should happen. You fill the kettle and switch it on, then select a mug from the cabinet, your favorite, the one with the illustration of a stack of books and the text, "So many books, so little time." While the water heats, you lean against the counter and close your eyes, processing. Margaret Elizabeth Winters. You know her now. Not just her name, but her spirit. Her dedication. Her love for this place. The way she saw magic and didn't try to explain it away. The way she honored mystery. The way she learned patience. You wonder what she looked like. What her voice sounded like. What books were her favorites. Whether she had family, friends, a life outside these walls. Whether she was happy. The journal didn't say, but somehow you know, yes. She was happy. Despite the hard work, despite the long hours, despite the loneliness that sometimes accompanies evening shifts. She was happy because she was doing what she was meant to do. Just like you. You carry your mug back out into the main hall, cradling it in both hands, letting the warmth seep into your palms. The library has settled now. The shelves have stopped their rearranging. The lamps have found their preferred brightness. Everything has returned to its baseline hum of peaceful existence. You walk slowly, sipping your tea, not heading anywhere in particular. Just wandering. Just being present. This is one of your favorite parts of the evening shift. These hours after closing when you can simply move through the space without purpose or destination. When you can let the library guide you, show you what it wants you to see. Tonight, it guides you to Section E, Essays and Literature. You've always liked this section. The books here are thoughtful, reflective. They're not trying to tell you what to think, just inviting you to think alongside them. They respect your intelligence. They trust you to draw your own conclusions. One book pulses warm under your fingers. You stop. Look at it. Essays on Solitude and Connection by someone named Vivian Marlowe. You don't recognize the title or author, but the book clearly wants your attention. You pull it from the shelf carefully, balancing your tea mug, and open it to a random page. The text swims before your eyes for a moment, then focuses. There is a particular kind of loneliness that comes from being the only one awake in a sleeping world. Not the loneliness of abandonment or rejection, but something gentler. The loneliness of the lighthouse keeper, of the night nurse, of the security guard making rounds through empty buildings. It is the loneliness of guardianship, of being the one who watches while others rest. And it is not entirely lonely, because in that watching, in that tending, we are connected to all the other watchers who came before us and all who will come after. We are part of an invisible chain of caretakers, each of us alone in our moment but never truly alone in our purpose. Thank you, you whisper to the book, to Vivian Marlowe, to whoever decided these particular words needed to exist in the world. You close the book gently but don't reshelve it. Instead, you tuck it under your arm. You'll read more of it tonight, during one of your breaks. You'll let it keep you company through the quiet hours. The book seems pleased with this decision. It rests easily under your arm, content to be chosen, to be read, to fulfill its purpose. You find yourself in Section K, one of the smaller sections, tucked away in a corner of the first floor. Section K is difficult to define. The library's cataloging system lists it as miscellaneous knowledge, but that's not quite right. It's more like things that don't fit anywhere else. Things that exist between categories. Things that resist classification. Here you'll find books on obscure crafts, unusual hobbies, forgotten sciences. Books that 3 people in the world care deeply about and no one else has ever heard of. Books that probably shouldn't exist but do anyway, written by obsessive specialists about incredibly narrow topics. A comprehensive study of Victorian buttonhooks. The lost art of wheat weaving. 17 methods for cataloging clouds. Mystical properties of dust particles in afternoon light. You smile. You love this section. It's proof that everything matters to someone. That no interest is too small, no passion too niche. That the universe of human curiosity is vast and strange and wonderful. You're about to move on when you notice something odd. One of the shelves is empty. Completely empty. Just bare wood, no books at all. That's never happened before. Every shelf in the library always has something on it. Even the newest acquisitions area, where books wait to be processed, is never completely empty. But this shelf, third from the bottom, about waist height, is bare. You lean down, peering at it closely. There's no dust, which means books were here recently. But where are they now? You're about to investigate further when you hear it, a sound from deeper in the library. Not alarming, but distinct. The sound of books falling. Not 1 or 2, but several. A cascade of volumes hitting floor. You straighten immediately, your librarian instincts kicking in. Books don't just fall. Not here. Not in the whispering library where books are careful, where shelves are attentive, where everything is intentional. Something is happening. Something needs your attention. You move toward the sound, your librarian's mind already cataloging possibilities. Books fall for reasons. Always reasons. Sometimes a shelf settles unevenly. Sometimes a book was placed incorrectly and gravity finally wins. Sometimes the building shifts. Old structures do that, breathing with temperature changes, adjusting to the weight of centuries. But in the whispering library, there's often another reason. The books are trying to tell you something. You round a corner into Section N, Natural Sciences. The smell here is different. Old paper mixed with something faintly mineral, like stones left in the sun. The books here are full of diagrams and observations, measurements and theories about the physical world. And there, in the center of the aisle, you see them. 7 books. 8. 9. Scattered across the floor in a rough semicircle, their pages splayed open, spines bent at unfortunate angles. They look like fallen birds, like something interrupted mid-flight. Your heart clenches. You hate seeing books like this, vulnerable, exposed, potentially damaged. Even knowing they're more resilient than they appear, even knowing the library takes care of its own, you still feel that protective surge. But as your hands touch the first one, you realize something. They're not hurt. They're not damaged. They're agitated. The book in your hands is vibrating. Subtly, but definitely. Like it's full of barely contained energy, like it's trying to speak but doesn't have a voice, like it needs something but can't articulate what. You look at the title, Encyclopedia of Geological Formations, Volume 7, Metamorphic Processes. You pick up another, Encyclopedia of Geological Formations, Volume 3, Sedimentary Layers. Another, Volume 12, Mineral Compositions. Understanding Dawns. These are all from the same encyclopedia set. And they've thrown themselves from their shelf, because yes, you can see the gap above where they belong, for a reason. You gather them carefully, stacking them in your arms. 9 volumes in total, heavy and substantial. Their cloth covers worn smooth by decades of handling. The encyclopedia set was published in 1952. You know, you catalogued these yourself when you first started, impressed by their thoroughness, their beautiful detailed illustrations, their patient explanations of how rock becomes rock, how stone transforms under pressure and time. But why are they on the floor? Why now? You stand, arms full of encyclopedias, and look at the shelf they fell from. The remaining volumes, there should be 15 in the complete set, are still in place, but they're leaning heavily to one side, as if unbalanced, as if supporting something that's become too heavy. You step closer, peering into the gap where these 9 volumes should be. And there, pushed to the very back of the shelf, partially hidden by the remaining encyclopedias, you see something that doesn't belong. A box. Small, wooden, carved with intricate patterns. The books in your arms pulse once, warmly, as if saying, yes, that's it, that's what we wanted you to find. You set the encyclopedias carefully on the floor, respectfully, promising silently to reshelve them properly in just a moment, and reach for the box. It's heavy for its size, perhaps 8 inches long, 5 inches wide, 3 inches deep. The wood is dark, walnut, maybe, or mahogany, and the carvings are remarkable. Intricate vines and leaves wind around all 6 sides, and hidden among the foliage are tiny creatures, a beetle, a bird, a mouse, a butterfly. Each one carved with such detail you can see individual feathers, individual wings. There's no lock, just a simple brass clasp. You carry the box over to a reading table. This section has several, for patrons who need to spread out geological maps or examine crystal specimens, and set it down under the light. Your fingers trace the carvings, feeling the grooves, the texture. The box is warm. Everything in this library seems warm tonight, as if heat is a property of significance, of meaning, of things that matter. You open the clasp. It releases easily, as if it's been waiting for this moment, for these particular hands. You lift the lid. Inside, nested in velvet the color of moss, are specimens. Rocks, minerals, fossils, crystals, but not ordinary ones. These are extraordinary. Each specimen is small, none larger than your thumb, but each one is perfect. Museum quality. Maybe beyond museum quality. There's a piece of amethyst so deep purple it looks like solidified twilight, its internal structure catching the light and fracturing it into tiny rainbows. A fossil, a trilobite, you think, though you're not an expert, preserved in such detail you can see every segment of its ancient body, every ridge and groove, as if it fell asleep yesterday instead of millions of years ago. A chunk of amber with something inside, an insect, frozen mid-flight for eternity, its wings still spread as if it might resume flying any moment. A piece of obsidian, black as night, polished smooth as glass, reflecting your face like a dark mirror. A geode, split open to reveal its hidden interior, crystals growing inward, a secret garden of stone. You reach in carefully and lift out the amethyst. It sits in your palm, heavier than it looks, and the moment your skin touches it, you feel something. A pulse, a vibration, a sense of great age, of deep time, of the earth's patient work over eons. Underneath where the specimens rest, you notice paper. A letter, folded small. You set the amethyst down gently and extract the letter, unfolding it with careful fingers. The handwriting is shaky, older, written by someone whose hands were no longer steady. But the words are clear. To the evening librarian. My name is Henry Castellan. You won't know me. I was never employed by the library, but I was a patron for 53 years. I came every week, sometimes more often, always to Section N, always to study geology, mineralogy, the sciences of stone and earth. I was a professor once, at the university. My life's work was understanding how rocks form, how they change, how they carry the history of our planet in their very substance. It was my passion. My calling. I'm dying now. Cancer. The doctors give me weeks at most. And I've been thinking about what to leave behind, what matters, what should endure. These specimens were my most precious possessions. I collected them over 60 years. Some I found myself, some were gifts from colleagues, some I acquired through years of searching. Each one is special. Each one tells a story about the Earth's deep past, about forces we can barely comprehend working over timescales that make human life seem like a blink. I'm leaving them to the library. Not to be displayed, I don't need recognition. But to be here, among the books about geology, where they belong. Where someone studying the encyclopedia might discover them and feel what I felt, or at the Earth's patient artistry. Wonder at the deep time that shaped these objects. Connection to something vast and ancient and ongoing. Please keep them safe. Please let them continue to teach, to inspire, to remind people that we are part of something so much larger than ourselves. Thank you for your work. Thank you for tending this place. Thank you for being here, in the quiet hours, keeping watch over knowledge. With gratitude and respect. Henry Castellan. October 2nd, 2019 inch. You lower the letter slowly, blinking back tears for the second time tonight. Why is this evening so full of emotion? Or perhaps it's always like this, and you've just never been this open to feeling it. 5 years ago. These specimens have been here for 5 years, pushed to the back of the shelf, hidden behind the encyclopedias, waiting. Waiting for what? For tonight? For you? For the right moment to be found? You look at the scattered encyclopedias on the floor, and suddenly you understand. They were protecting the box, keeping it safe. But tonight, perhaps because of Margaret's journal, perhaps because of some shift in the library's awareness, perhaps for reasons you'll never know, they decided it was time. Time for the box to be discovered. Time for Henry Castellan's gift to be acknowledged. Time for these specimens to fulfill their purpose. You carefully lift out each specimen, examining it with the respect it deserves. The trilobite fossil. When was this creature alive? 300 million years ago? 400? An incomprehensible span of time, yet here it is, held in your hand. The obsidian, formed from volcanic glass, cooled so quickly it never had time to crystallize. A moment of violence and heat, preserved. The amber, tree resin from a forest that existed before humans, before mammals, capturing a single insect's final moment and holding it through ages. These aren't just rocks and fossils. These are time capsules. These are messages from the deep past. These are evidence that the world is older and stranger and more wondrous than our daily lives usually let us remember. Henry Castellan knew this. He spent his life studying it. And in his final weeks, he thought of the library. He thought of future students, future wanderers, future seekers of knowledge. He wanted to give them something real, something tangible, something that could be held and examined and marveled at. You hold the geode up to the light. The crystals inside catch and refract the lamplight, creating tiny points of brilliance. It looks like a universe in miniature, like holding a star cluster in your palm. You know what you need to do. These specimens need to be displayed, not locked away, not hidden. Henry specifically said he didn't need recognition, but these objects, they deserve to be seen. They deserve to continue teaching. But where? And how? You look around Section N. It's well organized, well maintained. The shelves are full of knowledge about the natural world, biology, geology, astronomy, physics, chemistry. Books that explain how things work, why things are the way they are, what laws govern the universe we inhabit. And then you notice something you've somehow never paid attention to before, a display case. It's built into the wall between two shelving units, about chest height. Glass-fronted, with shelves inside. Currently it holds nothing. It's empty. Completely empty, the shelves bare, the glass clean, the small brass plaque at the bottom reading simply, Natural Wonders. Has that case always been empty? You try to remember. Surely you would have noticed an empty display case. Surely you would have wondered about it, made a note to ask someone, to find out what should go there. But maybe, probably, the case was waiting. Just like the remembrance alcove had a space waiting for Margaret's journal. Just like the remembrance register had a page waiting for your signature. The Whispering Library has a way of preparing for what's needed before anyone knows it's needed. You carry the wooden box over to the display case. The glass front swings open smoothly, silently, on hinges that show no resistance despite probably years of disuse. Inside, the shelves are lined with dark velvet, the same moss green as the velvet in the box. Of course they are. You begin arranging the specimens carefully, thoughtfully, giving each one space to be appreciated individually while creating a cohesive whole. Bottom shelf, the larger pieces. The geode, split open to show its crystal interior. The chunk of obsidian, reflecting darkness. A piece of striated stone that shows layers of sediment compressed over millennia. You didn't notice this one before, it was underneath the others. Middle shelf, the amber with its frozen insect. The amethyst cluster. A piece of fool's gold, iron pyrite, that glitters with metallic luster, beautiful in its deception. Another fossil, this one a fern leaf, pressed into shale, so detailed you can see the individual fronds. Top shelf, the smallest, most delicate pieces. The trilobite. A tiny crystal formation that looks like a flower made of stone. A polished agate slice showing concentric rings of color, rust orange, cream, deep red, like a sunset captured in rock. When you're done, you step back to look at your work. The specimens sit in their case like jewels, like treasures, like the miracles they are. But something's missing. Henry's letter. It needs to be here too. Not the original, that feels too personal, too fragile. But the story needs to be told. People need to know where these came from, why they matter, who loved them first. You return to the reading table where you left the letter and read it again, memorizing the key details. Then you fold it carefully and tuck it into your pocket. You'll keep the original somewhere safe. In the remembrance alcove, perhaps, with the journals. Another piece of the library's history. Another person who loved this place. But for the display, you need to create something new. You return to the circulation desk, to the small storage cabinet where supplies are kept. You find what you need, heavy cream cardstock, cut to postcard size. Your fountain pen with its midnight ink. Your careful hand. You sit at the desk and begin to write, taking your time, making it beautiful. The Henry Castellan Collection. These specimens were donated to the Whispering Library in October 2019 by Professor Henry Castellan, 1941 to 2019, geologist, educator, and devoted patron. For 53 years, he studied among these shelves, deepening his understanding of the Earth's ancient processes. In his final days, he chose to share his most treasured specimens with future seekers of knowledge. Each piece represents millions of years of the Earth's patient work, formation, transformation, preservation. They are offered here in the spirit of wonder, learning, and connection to deep time. We are part of something so much larger than ourselves. H. Castellan. The ink dries slowly. You read it over once, twice. Yes. This honors him. This tells his story without making it about ego or recognition. This invites people to engage with the specimens themselves while understanding they were loved, they were valued, they were given freely. You carry the card back to Section North and place it on the bottom shelf of the display case, propped against the geode so it's easily visible. Then you step back and look at the complete display. It's perfect. The specimens glow softly under the case's internal lighting. You hadn't noticed there was lighting, but of course there is. The library provides what's needed. The stones and fossils and crystals rest in their velvet cradles like honored guests, like treasures in a dragon's hoard, like evidence of the Earth's long story. And you know with absolute certainty, that Henry Castellan, wherever he is, whatever comes after life, is satisfied. His gift has been received. His specimens will continue teaching. His love for the deep history written in stone will ripple forward into the future, touching people he never met, inspiring wonder in minds not yet born. You place your hand flat against the glass of the display case, a gesture of acknowledgement, of gratitude, of completion. "Thank you, Henry," you whisper. "Your gift is honored. Your legacy continues." Behind you, the 9 encyclopedias still rest on the floor where you set them. But now their agitation has completely ceased. They're calm, satisfied, mission accomplished. They revealed the hidden box. They brought you to Henry's gift. They fulfilled their purpose. You gather them carefully, all 9 volumes, and begin returning them to their shelf. As you slide each one into place, it settles with that familiar sound of contentment. Home, safe, work done well. When the last encyclopedia is reshelved, when the display case is complete, when everything has found its proper place, you stand in the aisle of Section N and simply breathe. What an evening this has been. Margaret's journal. The remembrance alcove. Your signature in the register. Now Henry's specimens, hidden for 5 years, finally brought into the light. The library has given you so much tonight. Shown you so much. Trusted you with its secrets, its history, its ongoing story. You hear footsteps, soft, measured, deliberate. But you're alone. The library is closed. There should be no footsteps but your own. You turn slowly, not frightened but curious, and see nothing. The aisle is empty. But the sound continues, footsteps moving through the stacks, exploring, investigating, appreciating. And then you understand. It's not a person. It's never a person during evening shifts. It's the library itself, walking through its own halls, checking on the changes, seeing how Margaret's journal looks in the remembrance alcove, examining how Henry's specimens appear in their display case, making sure everything is as it should be, making sure you've tended it well. The footsteps pause near the display case. Then the footsteps continue, moving away, satisfied. You smile. You've passed some kind of test. Some kind of evaluation. The library approves. You retrieve the Vivian Marlowe book from where you left it, and your now cold tea from Section K, and you make your way back to the circulation desk. The evening is far from over. There's still cataloguing to do. There's always cataloguing to do, new books arriving, old books needing maintenance, the endless patient work of organization and care. But first, you need to record tonight's events in the ledger. You sit at the desk, open the leather-bound ledger to today's entry, and pick up your fountain pen. You write, "Found Margaret Elizabeth Winter's journal, hidden since 1925. Placed it in the remembrance alcove. Signed the remembrance register. Discovered Henry Castellan's specimen collection. Donated 2019. Created display in Section N. The library is particularly alive tonight. The library is pleased. I am honored to be here." The ink dries. The words become permanent. The night's events, recorded and remembered. You close the ledger and lean back in your chair, looking out at the vast space of the library stretching before you. The lamps glow warmly. The shelves stand patient and strong. The books whisper their endless conversations. The building breathes its ancient breath. And you, evening librarian, keeper of this place, guardian of knowledge, tender of whispers, you sit at the heart of it all, exactly where you belong. There's still so much night ahead. Still so much to discover. Still so many stories waiting to be found. But for now, this moment is enough. For now, you're exactly where you need to be. You sit at the circulation desk for a moment longer, letting the evening's discoveries settle into your bones, into your memory, into the part of you that will carry these experiences forward. But the work calls. It always calls. There's comfort in that, in the endless gentle labor of librarianship, in the tasks that are never quite finished, in the way there's always something to tend, something to organize, something to care for. You stand, stretching slightly, feeling the pleasant tiredness in your muscles. You've climbed stairs tonight. You've knelt and reached and carried. Your body has worked alongside your mind, and both are satisfied. On the desk sits the cart of returns, books that came back today, that have been checked in but not yet reshelved. It's full, 3 shelves worth, perhaps 30 volumes waiting patiently for your attention. This is one of your favorite tasks. Reshelving. It's meditative, rhythmic, requiring just enough concentration to occupy your mind without exhausting it. And there's satisfaction in it, taking things that are displaced and returning them home, restoring order, making sure everything is where it should be. You wheel the cart away from the desk. Its wheels are well-oiled, silent, leaving only the whisper of metal on marble as you move through the main hall. You glance at the first book on the top shelf, The Architecture of Dreams by someone named Lydia Thornwood. Fiction, Section F4, second floor. Time to begin. The cart follows you obediently as you head toward the stairs. You've learned to pack it strategically, books organized by section and floor, minimizing backtracking, making the work flow smoothly. As you walk, you notice something you've observed before but never quite thought about consciously. The library is arranged like a spiral. Not a perfect geometric spiral, but an organic one, like a nautilus shell or a galaxy. The sections flow into each other, each one leading naturally to the next, the entire collection forming a continuous path that curves and climbs through the building. You could, if you wanted, start at section A and walk through every section in order, and you'd end up exactly where you began, having traversed the entire library without retracing a single step. Someone designed it this way. Some architect or librarian from centuries past understood something about how knowledge works, how it connects, how one idea leads to another, how everything is related if you look closely enough. You reach the stairs and begin climbing, the cart bumping gently on each step with a soft rhythmic sound. Bump, bump, bump. Second floor. The air here is different. Books on this level tend to be older, their paper more fragile, their binding more delicate. The smell is mustier, but in a good way, like opening a trunk in your grandmother's attic and finding treasures preserved through time. Section F4. Fiction, Contemporary Literary. You find the spot where The Architecture of Dreams belongs, between the Arabic astrologer and the arithmetic of compassion. The books lean away slightly, making room, welcoming their fellow back. You slide it into place. The shelf accepts it with a soft sigh of completion. Next, Medicinal Herbs of the Northern Forests. Section Q2, first floor. You'll get there eventually. You're working your way through the cart systematically, gathering books by section to minimize trips. But as you reach for the next book, you hear something that makes you pause. Singing. Very soft, very distant, but definitely singing. Not human voices. Not anything you can quite identify. Just melody. Wordless, gentle, rising and falling like breathing, like wind moving through trees, like water over stones. You stand very still, listening, trying to locate the source. It's coming from deeper in the stacks. From section H, perhaps. Or section 1. The sound is too soft, too diffused to pinpoint exactly. You've heard the library make many sounds. Whispers, sighs, creaks, the shuffle of pages, the hum of certain books. But never singing. Not like this. Curiosity wins. The cart can wait. Some things need to be investigated immediately. You follow the sound, leaving the cart behind, moving quietly through the maze of shelves. The singing grows slightly louder as you move, still quiet, still ethereal, but more distinct. You can make out different threads of melody now, harmonies weaving around each other, a song without words but full of meaning. Section H, History, Cultural and Social. The shelves here are packed with accounts of how people have lived, how societies have organized themselves, how cultures have expressed their values through art and ritual and daily practice. The singing is definitely coming from here. But where exactly? You move slowly down the aisle, your head tilted, listening. The melody seems to be coming from everywhere and nowhere, like it's emanating from the shelves themselves, from the books collectively, from the accumulated stories of human civilization singing their own song. And then you see them. The books are glowing. Not dramatically, but definitely. A soft phosphorescence, barely visible even in the dim evening light. Perhaps 24 volumes scattered across several shelves, all glowing gently in perfect time with the melody, pulsing like heartbeats, like breaths, like the steady rhythm of a song being sung. You approach the nearest glowing book carefully. The title, Folk Songs of the Appalachian Mountains. You touch its spine gently, and the glow intensifies for just a moment, and you feel vibration. The book is vibrating with sound, producing it, contributing to the larger melody. You pull it from the shelf. The moment it leaves, its glow fades, its vibration stops. But the song continues, the other glowing books picking up the missing thread, adjusting their harmonies to compensate. You open the book. Inside, the pages are filled with sheet music. Songs transcribed from oral tradition, ballads and work songs and lullabies, collected by some dedicated folklorist who wanted to preserve what might otherwise be lost. But these aren't just static notes on paper. As you watch, the musical notation moves. The notes lift slightly off the page, vibrating, rearranging themselves, creating new harmonies, new variations. The songs are alive, evolving, continuing to grow even though the people who first sang them are long gone. You close your eyes and just listen. The melody is incredibly beautiful, layered, complex, full of longing and joy and sorrow and hope all mixed together. The sound of human experience compressed into music. The sound of people singing to make their work lighter, to express what couldn't be said, to connect with something larger than themselves. You understand now. The books in this section, the ones about folk traditions, about cultural expressions, about the songs and stories people tell, they're communing with each other, sharing their contents, creating something new from the preservation of old things. They're reminding you that culture is alive, that traditions continue, that songs don't die as long as someone remembers them, someone records them, someone keeps them safe. You reshelve folk songs of the Appalachian Mountains carefully. As soon as it's back in place, it begins glowing again, rejoining the choir, adding its voice to the harmony. You stand there for a long moment, just listening, just witnessing this impossible, beautiful thing. Then, quietly, so as not to disturb them, you back away, leaving the books to their song. You return to your cart, the melody fading behind you as you move through the stacks. That's the thing about the whispering library. Just when you think you understand it, just when you think you've seen all its secrets, it shows you something new. Some new wonder. Some new reminder that this place is more than a building, more than a collection, more than an organization of information. It's alive. Truly, genuinely alive in ways that transcend metaphor. You continue reshelving, working through the cart methodically. Fiction returns to fiction. History returns to history. Science to science. Each book finding its home, each shelf accepting its charges back. As you work, you fall into the rhythm of it. Walk, scan the spines, find the gap, slide the book home. Walk, scan, find, slide. Over and over. Meditative. Soothing. The kind of work that lets your mind wander while your body knows what to do. You think about Margaret, walking these same floors over a century ago. Did she reshelve books on evening shifts? Almost certainly. Did she hear the books singing? Did she discover hidden journals and specimen collections? Did she stand in the remembrance alcove and feel the weight of all those who came before? You think about Henry Castellan, spending 53 years among these shelves, studying the Earth's deep history, finding peace and purpose in understanding the slow transformation of stone. You think about all the patrons who've walked through these doors, seeking something, knowledge, escape, connection, answers, questions worth asking. Each one leaving a little of themselves behind, their attention and curiosity and wonder becoming part of the library's fabric. You're on the first floor now, reshelving in Section M, Mathematics and Logic. This section is always quiet. More than quiet, it's still. The books here deal in absolute truths, in proofs and theorems and relationships that don't change with fashion or culture or time. 2 + 2 = 4, regardless of who's adding or when or why. The Pythagorean theorem works the same today as it did when Pythagoras first proved it. There's comfort in that. Stability. Certainty. You slide a book about number theory into place, The Music of Primes by someone named Marcus Sortoy. A beautiful title. You make a mental note to read it someday, to understand what music there might be in mathematics. As you're reaching for the next book, you notice something odd about the shelf you just reshelved to. The books are rearranging themselves. You just watched it happen. The Music of Primes slid slightly to the right, and the book next to it slid left, and they swapped positions without you touching them. You blink. Did you really just see that? Or are your eyes tired, playing tricks? But no, it's happening again. Several books along the shelf are slowly, carefully, switching places. Not randomly. There's intention here. Purpose. You lean closer, examining the titles, trying to understand what organizational principle they're following. And then you see it. The books are arranging themselves, alphabetically by the mathematicians mentioned in them. Not by title, not by author, not by publication date. By the names of the mathematicians whose work they discuss. Abel, Archimedes, Bernoulli, Cantor, Descartes, Euclid. They're creating their own cataloging system. One that makes sense to them, that reflects the actual relationships between ideas rather than the arbitrary alphabet of titles and authors. You stand there, watching the shelf complete its reorganization. It takes perhaps 2 minutes, each book sliding into its new position with careful precision. When they're done, they settle with a collective sigh of satisfaction. You should probably, what? Object? Insist on the proper Dewey Decimal Order? Assert your authority as librarian? But why? The books are happy. They've found an arrangement that pleases them, that makes their connections more visible, that honors the human minds whose ideas they preserve. And who knows, maybe their way is better. Maybe patrons studying Euler will benefit from having all the Euler-related books clustered together, regardless of whether they're technically about number theory or topology or complex analysis. You pull out a small notepad from your pocket and make a note, Section M, second shelf, books self-organized by mathematician. Allow to remain. Monitor for patron confusion. The shelf seems to glow slightly brighter at this, as if grateful for your understanding, for your willingness to let it be what it needs to be. You continue reshelving, but now you're paying closer attention to the shelves themselves, watching for other signs of self-organization, other ways the library is arranging itself according to principles you might not fully understand. In Section P, Psychology and Philosophy, you notice that books about consciousness are all leaning slightly inward, as if in deep conversation with each other, sharing insights about the nature of awareness. In Section R, Cookbooks and Culinary Arts, books about bread are grouped together regardless of their official classification, creating an impromptu bread section spanning 3 shelves. The smell here is particularly strong tonight, yeast and flour and warmth, as if the books are remembering the baking they describe. In Section T, Technology and Applied Sciences, older books about obsolete technologies are pushed slightly forward on their shelves, as if insisting they still have value, still have knowledge worth preserving even if the machines they describe no longer exist. The library is curating itself. Constantly. Continuously. Adjusting its organization to reflect not just human logic, but something deeper, the logic of ideas themselves, of how knowledge wants to be arranged, of what connections matter most. You're not the only one doing the cataloging work. You never have been. The library itself is an active participant, a collaborator, a co-creator of order and meaning. Your cart is nearly empty now. Just a few more books. You're on the ground floor, in the main hall, and you can see the circulation desk from here, the lamp still burning, your chair waiting. The last book on your cart is one you don't remember checking in. That happens sometimes. Books appear that weren't officially returned, that somehow make their way back through means you don't question anymore. You pick it up. It's small, very old, bound in cracked leather the color of dried blood. The title is in a language you don't recognize, symbols that might be Sanskrit, or something older, something that predates your knowledge of written language. There's no call number. No label. Nothing to indicate where it belongs. But when you hold it, it feels important. heavy with more than physical weight, dense with meaning, with age, with the accumulated attention of everyone who's ever read it. You open it carefully. The pages are vellum, thick and textured, covered in handwritten text in that same unknown script. And illustrations, gorgeous, intricate mandalas and diagrams, cosmological charts showing the relationship between earth and sky, body and spirit, time and eternity. This is a treasure, a genuine artifact. Something that should probably be in climate-controlled storage, or a museum, or at least somewhere safer than on a reshelving cart. But it's here, in your hands, and you need to find where it belongs. And immediately, you know, the rare books room. 4th floor. The locked collection. Of course. You've been in the rare books room only a handful of times. It requires a special key, which you keep on a separate ring in a locked drawer at the circulation desk. The room is climate-controlled, humidity-regulated, lit with special bulbs that don't damage fragile pages. You return to the desk, unlock the drawer, retrieve the key ring. The key you need is brass, old, heavy, with an ornate head carved to look like an open book. You climb the stairs, past the 2nd floor, past the 3rd, to the 4th and highest floor. Up here, the ceiling slopes with the roofline, and the windows are smaller, more like portholes, offering glimpses of the night sky and the city beyond. The door to the rare books room is at the end of a short corridor. It's heavier than other doors, reinforced, designed to protect what lies beyond. You fit the key into the lock. It turns with well-oiled smoothness, and the door swings open with a soft whisper of air pressure equalizing. Inside, the room is cool and dry. The smell is incredible. Old paper, old leather, centuries of preservation, the scent of knowledge protected and maintained through generations of careful stewardship. The shelves here are different from the rest of the library, glass-fronted, individually lit, each volume displayed rather than simply stored. These are the treasures, the first editions, the manuscripts, the illuminated texts, the books that have survived wars and fires and floods and the simple erosion of time. You approach the nearest open space on the shelves, and yes, there is an open space, as if it's been waiting. You slide the ancient text into place. The moment it settles on the shelf, something remarkable happens. The entire room breathes. You feel it, a slow, deep inhalation and exhalation, as if the room itself is a living lung, expanding and contracting with satisfaction. The other rare books glow faintly, acknowledging the newcomer, welcoming it home, recognizing it as one of their own, a survivor, a treasure, a keeper of wisdom that predates most human institutions. You stand there, watching the glow spread and then fade, watching the room settle back into its quiet vigilance. This book has found its home. Not just its physical location, but its true home, among its peers, among other rare and precious things, where it will be protected and honored and preserved for as long as the library stands. Which, you suspect, will be longer than any of us can imagine. You back out of the rare books room slowly, reluctant to leave but knowing you must. You lock the door carefully, return the key to its drawer, and stand in the main hall, looking around at the vast cathedral of knowledge you're privileged to tend. The cart is empty now. All books reshelved. All displaced things returned to their proper places. Order restored, or at least the particular kind of organized chaos that a living library requires. The night is growing deeper, but there's still more to experience. Still more wonders waiting. Still more ways this impossible, beautiful place will surprise you. You return the empty cart to its place beside the circulation desk, positioning it just so, ready for tomorrow's returns. Your hands rest on its metal frame for a moment, appreciating its simple utility, the way it serves without complaint, day after day. A glance at the clock on the wall, an old one, analog, its face cream-colored and its hands brass, ticking softly. 9:47 p.m. Hours yet until dawn. Hours of quiet companionship with the books and shelves and whispers. You should do some cataloging. There's always cataloging to be done, new acquisitions waiting to be processed, their information entered into the system, call numbers assigned, protective covers applied if needed. But as you turn toward the back office where the new books wait in their boxes, you feel that familiar pull again. That sense that the library wants to show you something. That there's somewhere you need to be, something you need to see. You stop. Close your eyes. Listen. Upper floors. East wing. Section J. You don't question it anymore. You've learned to trust these gentle summons, these wordless invitations. Your feet carry you to the stairs once more. How many times have you climbed these stairs tonight? You've lost count. But your legs aren't tired. If anything, you feel energized, alive, present in a way that daily life rarely allows. Third floor. East wing. Section J. Journals, diaries, and personal narratives. This section has always moved you. It's full of ordinary people's extraordinary lives, their thoughts preserved, their days recorded, their inner worlds made visible through the simple act of writing things down. Unlike the remembrance alcove with its librarian's journals, this section holds the writings of everyone else. Farmers and soldiers, artists and housewives, travelers and shut-ins. People who felt compelled to document their existence, to bear witness to their own lives, to leave evidence that they were here, they mattered, they experienced and felt and thought and dreamed. You move between the shelves slowly, your fingers trailing along the spines. So many lives. So many voices. Some famous, most not. Some published, many remaining private, acquired by the library through estate sales or donations, preserved because someone understood they had value even if the wider world didn't recognize it. And then you see what the library wanted you to see. A book has fallen open on one of the reading tables scattered throughout this section. You're certain it wasn't there when you passed by earlier. Certain because you're meticulous about checking tables, about making sure books aren't left out overnight where they might be damaged. But there it is, a book, open, pages exposed, waiting. You approach the table carefully, as if approaching something alive, something that might startle if you move too quickly. The book is a published diary, The Journals of Clara Ashton, 1902 to 1903. You vaguely recognize the name. She was a naturalist, you think, someone who studied birds or plants or perhaps both. But what stops you, what makes you catch your breath, is not the printed text. It's the margins. Every margin, top, bottom, left, right, is filled with handwriting. Notes written in pencil, in ink, in what looks like crayon in one spot. Different hands, different eras, different readers adding their thoughts, their reactions, their own experiences in conversation with Clara's. You lean closer, reading. Next to an entry where Clara describes watching a hawk circle overhead, someone has written in careful cursive, "I saw this exact thing yesterday. May 3rd, 1967. She describes it perfectly, the way its shadow moves across the ground, the way time seems to slow. Next to Clara's reflection on the difficulty of scientific observation, another note in different handwriting, "Yes. This is what I struggle with too. How to watch without changing what you're watching. How to be present without interfering. MK, 1989 inch." Further down, in a child's unsteady printing, "My teacher made me read this for school, but actually it's really good. I never thought about trees having personalities before." Jamie, 2001 inch. You turn the page carefully. More notes. More voices. Decades of readers reaching across time, connecting with Clara, connecting with each other through Clara's words. This shouldn't be allowed. You know that. Books shouldn't be written in. Margins should be pristine. The text should stand alone, unmarked, unpolluted by later readers' thoughts. But these notes are beautiful. They're proof that Clara's words reached people. That her observations of the natural world resonated across more than a century, touching different lives in different times, creating connections that transcend the moment of reading. Some notes are simple, beautiful passage or so true, or just a star, a symbol of appreciation. Others are longer. An entry from 1978 describing how the reader took their own daughter birdwatching after reading Clara's accounts, how it became a tradition they maintained for 30 years. A note from 2015 describing how this book helped the reader through a period of depression, how Clara's attention to small beauties reminded them that life was worth observing, worth participating in. Some notes are questions. Did she ever marry? What kind of bird is this? Can't find it in my guide. Is this place still there? I want to visit. And some, heartbreakingly, are farewells, reading this for the last time before I move. Thank you, Clara, for being my companion these past years. Robert, 1982 inch. Your vision blurs. You blink rapidly, clearing your eyes, wanting to see every word, every connection, every piece of proof that books are not dead objects but living conduits of human connection. You realize that this is happening throughout the library. It must be. Not in every book, probably not even in most books, but in some. In the ones that reach people deeply. In the ones that matter enough that readers can't help but respond, can't help but add their voices to the conversation. The library allows it, encourages it, even. Because the library understands something that strict archival practice doesn't, that books are meant to be used, engaged with, wrestled with, loved. That the conversation between reader and text is sacred, and sometimes that conversation needs to be preserved too. You turn to the last page where Clara's final entry is recorded. She's elderly now, her observation walks shorter, her handwriting shakier. But her love for the natural world remains undimmed. June 12, 1903. Saw a warbler today in the garden. Could not identify the species, but it didn't matter. It sang for me, for Emmy specifically, I felt, and I sang back in my heart. We were two creatures acknowledging each other across the vast divide of species. That is enough. That has always been enough. Below this, in the margin, the most recent note. The ink is still slightly darker than the others, less faded. Recent. Reading this on June 12, 2024. Exactly 121 years later. I saw a warbler this morning too, Clara, in my garden. And I thought of you. And I sang back in my heart. We are all connected across time through these small moments of attention, of love, of noticing. Thank you for teaching me to see. Elena. You sit back in your chair, overwhelmed. 121 years. Clara's words reached across 121 years to touch someone named Elena, who then added her voice to the chorus of readers who found meaning in these pages. You know what you need to do. What you're being called to do. Oh, you reach into your pocket and pull out your pen, that faithful fountain pen with its midnight ink. You find a small space in the margin of the final page, beneath Elena's note. And you write, carefully, wanting your handwriting to be clear, to be worthy of inclusion in this decades-long conversation. Reading this on the evening shift, December 16th, 2025. Thank you, Clara, for your careful attention to the world. Thank you to everyone who's written in these margins. You've shown me that books are not solitary experiences but conversations across time. I am honored to add my small voice to yours. May someone read these words decades from now and know they are not alone in being moved by Clara's observations, by nature's beauty, by the simple act of noticing. The evening librarian. You set down your pen. Your handwriting looks right there, nestled among all the others. Not intrusive. Not out of place. Just another voice in the chorus, another reader reached by Clara's work. The book seems to glow faintly for just a moment, or perhaps it's just the lamplight shifting. But you choose to believe it's the book itself, acknowledging your addition, welcoming you into its community of readers. You close the book carefully, reverently. But you don't reshelve it. Instead, you place it prominently on the returns cart, positioned so its spine faces outward, visible. Let it be found by a patron. Let someone else discover Clara's journals and the beautiful conversation happening in its margins. Let the dialogue continue. You stand and stretch, feeling the pleasant ache of a body that's been walking and climbing and kneeling and reaching all evening. Around you, Section J continues its quiet existence. All these lives, all these journals and diaries, all these people who felt their thoughts were worth recording. Some profound, some mundane, all human. All part of the vast tapestry of experience that makes up our collective history. You move through the sections slowly, reading spines, acknowledging the lives contained within. The Wartime Letters of Samuel Brooks. Diaries from the Dust Bowl, a farmer's account. My Years at Sea, a Captain's Log, 1889 to 1920. Growing Up in Two Worlds, a first-generation memoir. Notes from Quarantine, a Doctor's Perspective, 1918. Each one a window into someone's reality. Each one proof that they existed, they mattered, their perspective was unique and valuable. You find yourself wondering, will your own journals, the ones you keep at home, the ones where you record your thoughts and days and feelings, will they end up somewhere like this someday? Will future readers find meaning in your mundane observations, your struggles, your small joys? The thought is both humbling and comforting. To be part of the chain. To add your small link to the vast connection of human experience preserved through writing. As you're leaving section J, something catches your eye on a lower shelf. A journal with no title. Just a plain cover, deep green, slightly worn. But there's a note attached to it, a small piece of paper, yellowed with age, tucked into a clear plastic sleeve taped to the front cover. You crouch down and carefully remove the note, holding it up to read. The paper is old, the ink faded but still legible. The handwriting is shaky, written by someone elderly or ill. This is the journal of my life. Nothing important happened to me. I was not famous. I did not do great things. I was a teacher for 40 years. I had a husband who I loved and who died too soon. I had students who I hope remember me kindly. I had a garden where I grew tomatoes and roses. I read books. I took walks. I lived quietly. I am donating this journal to the library not because I think anyone will care about my life specifically, but because perhaps, maybe, someone someday will need to know that an ordinary life can be a good life. That small moments can be enough. That teaching and gardening and reading and walking can be a full existence. If you're reading this, if you've picked up this journal, I see you. I honor your life too, whatever it contains. We are all just doing our best with what we've been given. With love from the past. Edith Morrison, age 84, 1996 inch. You sit down right there on the floor, the note in one hand, fighting back tears for what feels like the 100th time tonight. Why is this evening breaking your heart open over and over? Or maybe not breaking, maybe opening. Maybe showing you how much love and connection and meaning exists in this place, in these books, in the simple act of people trying to reach across time to say, I was here. I mattered. You matter too. You carefully return the note to its plastic sleeve, making sure it's secure, making sure future readers will see Edith's message. Then you pull out her journal and open it to a random page. The entry is from July 1974. Today I taught my students about metaphor. We read Frost's The Road Not Taken and discussed how it's not really about roads. Afterward, Maria, bright girl, struggles with math but excels in language, stayed behind and told me that poem made her understand something about her parents' divorce. That sometimes people make choices and both choices are okay, but you can't undo them, and that's hard but also that's life. I told her she understood poetry better than most adults. Her face lit up. These moments, these small moments of connection, of understanding clicking into place, this is why I teach. Not for glory or money or recognition. For Maria's face lighting up. For the moment when a student really gets it. That's everything. Simple. Ordinary. A moment that Edith probably forgot a week later. But she wrote it down. And now, 51 years after it happened, you're reading about it. And Maria, wherever she is, whoever she became, she was seen. She was honored. Her moment of understanding was preserved. Nothing important happened, Edith said. But she was wrong. Everything important happened. Just in quiet ways. In teaching moments and garden work and careful observations. In the patient accumulation of small loves and small attentions that make up a life. You close the journal carefully and stand, returning it to its shelf. But you take a photo of Edith's note with your phone, needing to remember it, needing to carry her words with you. You leave section J feeling changed. Again. Different than you were an hour ago. Different than you were when your shift started. The library does this. opens you up, shows you the vast network of human connection and meaning that exists if you know how to look for it. Reminds you that you're part of something immense and intricate and beautiful. You descend the stairs slowly, your hand on the railing, your steps measured and thoughtful. Back to the main floor. The circulation desk. The center of your small universe for these evening hours. You sit in your chair and open the ledger again, needing to record what just happened, needing to make it official, permanent, remembered. Your pen hovers over the page. How to describe this? How to capture the experience of marginalia conversations across a century, of Edith Morrison's ordinary extraordinary life, of the way books become vessels not just for their original text but for all the readers who engage with them. You write simply, Section J. Clara Ashton's journals, discovered the beautiful conversation in the margins. Added my own small voice. Found Edith Morrison's journal and her note about ordinary lives being enough. The library is teaching me about connection tonight. About how we reach across time through words. I am listening. I am learning. I am grateful. The ink dries. The words become permanent. Another entry in the endless record of life in the whispering library. You lean back in your chair, looking out at the vast space before you. The library is fully alive now in the deep night. The lamps burn steady. The books whisper their conversations. The shelves stand patient and strong. Somewhere, in some section, books are probably rearranging themselves. Somewhere, a forgotten treasure is working its way forward, preparing to be found. Somewhere, the building itself is doing its mysterious work of preservation and connection. And you are here, bearing witness, tending, caring, being present. You notice your cold tea from earlier, still sitting where you left it in Section K. You should retrieve it, wash the mug, make something fresh. But not yet. Not quite yet. For now, you sit in your chair at the circulation desk, surrounded by books and whispers and the accumulated wisdom of centuries, and you simply breathe. In and out. Present. Alive. Exactly where you belong. The night is far from over. There's still so much it wants to show you. Still so many small wonders waiting to be discovered. Outside the tall windows, the stars continue their slow wheel across the sky. Inside, the whispering library breathes its ancient breath. And you, evening librarian, keeper of stories, guardian of words, you sit at the heart of it all, ready for whatever comes next. The library provides. The library teaches. The library loves. And you love it back, with every careful reshelving, every gentle discovery, every moment of attention and care. You sit at the circulation desk, your ledger closed, your fountain pen resting beside it. The clock shows 10:23 p.m. Deep into the evening shift now. Deep into that particular time of night when the world outside has settled into sleep and the world inside, the library, has become your entire universe. You rise slowly, feeling the pleasant tiredness that comes from good work, from hours of walking and tending and discovering. Your muscles are warm, your mind is clear, your heart is full. There's one last task you always do before the night grows too late. One final ritual that marks the transition from the active evening to the quiet, deep night. The closing round. You collect a small brass lantern from beneath the circulation desk, old-fashioned, with a glass chimney and a real candle inside. You light it with a match, watching the flame catch and steady, casting warm golden light in a small circle around you. Some libraries do security rounds with flashlights and clipboards, checking locks and looking for problems. But the Whispering Library doesn't need that kind of patrol. It needs acknowledgement. It needs to be seen, witnessed, honored before it settles into its deepest rest. The closing round is a walk of gratitude, a benediction, a good night to every section, every shelf, every book. You lift the lantern and begin to walk. You start with Section A, Art and Architecture, on the ground floor. Your lantern light plays across the spines, books about cathedrals and paintings, sculpture and design, the human impulse to create beauty and meaning through form. Good night, Section A, you whisper. Thank you for preserving beauty, for reminding us that humans have always created, always sought to make the world more lovely than we found it. The books seem to settle slightly, as if your words are a blanket being tucked around them. The section breathes out, a soft collective sigh of appreciation. You move to Section B, Biography. The lives of the notable and the forgotten, the famous and the obscure, all preserved here in paper and ink. Good night, Section B. Thank you for showing us how other people have lived, for the lessons in their triumphs and failures, for reminding us we're all just humans, doing our best with what we're given. Section C, Children's Literature. This section always feels younger, more energetic, even late at night. The books here retain the wonder they contain, the magic that speaks directly to young hearts. Good night, little ones, you say softly. Thank you for keeping childhood alive, for the adventures and friendships and lessons taught gently, with kindness, for remembering that we all started as children, and part of that child remains in us always. The children's books glow faintly, just for a moment, as if delighted by your attention. One of them, a picture book about a brave little mouse, actually giggles. A tiny sound, barely audible, but definitely there. You smile. Your closing round continues, section by section, shelf by shelf. Each one receiving its acknowledgement, its gratitude, its gentle good night. Section D, History. Thank you for remembering, for bearing witness, for ensuring that what was learned is not forgotten. Section E, Essays and Literature. Thank you for careful thought, for the examination of ideas, for helping us understand ourselves and our world more deeply. Section F, Fiction. Thank you for stories, for escape and adventure and romance and mystery, for showing us lives we'll never live, places we'll never go, but can experience through imagination. The fiction section practically glows at this. Stories love to be acknowledged. They live for recognition, for being read and shared and loved. Section G, Geography and Travel. Thank you for expanding our horizons. For maps and journeys and the reminder that the world is vast and varied and worth exploring. You climb the stairs to the second floor, your lantern casting dancing shadows on the walls, your voice soft and steady. Section H, History, Cultural and Social. The books that were singing earlier have quieted now, but they pulse gently as you pass, acknowledging your acknowledgement. Thank you for the songs, for preserving how people have lived, celebrated, mourned, connected. For cultural memory. Section 1, International Languages. Books in dozens of tongues, proving that the human need to communicate, to tell stories, to share knowledge transcends any single language. Thank you for diversity, for showing us the many ways humans have found to express the universal experiences of being alive. Third floor now. Your legs are tired but willing. The lantern light feels warmer up here, or perhaps it's just that you're warmer, your body heated by the gentle exertion of climbing. Section J, Journals and Personal Narratives. You pause here longer, thinking of Clara and Edith, of Margaret and Henry, of all the lives preserved in these pages. Thank you for ordinary lives made extraordinary through recording. For teaching us that every life matters, every observation has value, every person's story deserves to be told and remembered. Section K, the miscellaneous section with its odd collections and narrow interests. Thank you for celebrating specificity, for honoring that everything matters to someone, for proving that no interest is too niche, no passion too small. Section L, Poetry. Still quiet, still contemplative. Thank you for beauty condensed, for saying in a few perfect words what prose takes pages to express, for rhythm and rhyme and the music of language. You move through M, N, O, P, mathematics, natural sciences, other languages, psychology, each section receiving its due, its recognition, its gentle blessing for the night. By the time you reach Section T on the 4th floor, your voice is softer, your words more whispered, as if you're genuinely tucking in sleepy children, helping them drift toward rest. Good night. Thank you. Sleep well. I'll be here. You're safe. Your final stop is the rare books room. You unlock it one more time, step inside with your lantern, and address the treasures within. Good night, precious ones. Thank you for surviving, for enduring, for carrying knowledge and beauty and wisdom across centuries. You are honored here. You are protected. Rest well. The ancient manuscript you shelved earlier, the one with unknown script, glows very faintly, as if waving good night. You smile and wave back, not caring if it's silly, not caring if you're anthropomorphing inanimate objects. Here, in this place, at this hour, books are not inanimate. They're alive in all the ways that matter. You lock the rare books room and make your way back downstairs, your circuit complete. Ground floor. The main hall. The circulation desk at the center of it all. You set the lantern down on the desk and blow out the candle gently. The flame wavers, dances, then extinguishes with a thin trail of smoke that rises and disappears into the darkness above. The closing round is complete. Every section acknowledged. Every shelf blessed. The library tucked in for its deepest rest. But you're not done. Not quite. There's one more ritual. One final act before you can settle into the quiet hours of deep night. You move to the center of the main hall, where the marble floor is smooth and clear, where the vaulted ceiling rises high above, where you can see, if you turn slowly, every section of the library radiating out from this central point like spokes on a wheel. You stand here, arms at your sides, and you simply listen. Not just with your ears. With your whole body. With that librarian sense that's developed through nights like this, through patient attention, through learning to hear what the library is saying. And then you hear it. The thing you wait for every night. The thing that tells you the library has accepted your care, has appreciated your tending, has recognized your presence. The whisper. Not one voice, but many. Thousands. All the books, all at once, speaking in harmony. You can't make out individual words. It's too layered, too complex, too vast. But the meaning comes through anyway, wordless and complete. Thank you. You are seen. You are valued. You belong here. We are grateful. Rest now. We keep watch together. Your eyes close. Tears slip down your cheeks, the good kind, the release kind, the tears that come when you feel truly seen, truly appreciated, truly held. Thank you, you whisper back to the library, to the books, to this impossible magical place that has chosen you as its keeper. Thank you for letting me serve you, for teaching me, for showing me so much tonight. I am honored. I am grateful. I love you. The whisper swells for just a moment, louder, warmer, wrapping around you like an embrace, then fades back to its baseline hum. You open your eyes. The library looks different now. Softer, more settled. Ready for the deep night hours when even the most restless books grow still, when even the most active shelves cease their rearranging, when everything rests in the peaceful certainty that it is tended, it is safe, it is loved. You return to the circulation desk and lower yourself into your chair, the one that knows the shape of you by now, that welcomes you like an old friend. Your shift isn't technically over. You're here until dawn, until the morning librarian arrives to relieve you, until daylight returns and patrons begin filtering in and the library shifts from its night self to its day self. But the active work is done. The discoveries have been made. The gifts have been received. Margaret's journal is in the remembrance alcove. Henry's specimens are displayed. Clara's marginalia has your contribution. Edith's ordinary extraordinary life has been witnessed. The rare manuscript is home. The closing round is complete. Now comes the deepest part of the evening shift, the hours between midnight and dawn when you simply exist here. Present. Awake. Keeping vigil. You pull the Vivian Marlowe book toward you, Essays on Solitude and Connection, the one that found you earlier in Section E. You open it to a random page and begin to read by the light of your desk lamp. The words wash over you, thoughtful and gentle. Essays about loneliness and belonging, about being alone versus being lonely, about how humans are paradoxically individuals and also fundamentally connected to each other, part of a vast web of relationship and meaning. Perfect. Exactly what you need for this hour, this space, this moment of being alone but not lonely in a building full of silent companions. You read for a while, then set the book down and simply sit, listening to the library breathe, watching the lamplight play across the marble floor, feeling the weight of the building above you, around you, tons of stone and wooden books, all held together by architecture and gravity and something else. Love, perhaps. Care. The accumulated attention of everyone who's ever worked here, ever visited here, ever found something they needed within these walls. Outside the windows, the night is fully dark now. The stars wheel slowly overhead. The city beyond sleeps, or at least pretends to. But here, in the whispering library, time moves differently. Here, the night is not something to endure but something to savor. The quiet is not empty but full. The solitude is not lonely but companionable. You pour yourself the last of the tea from the thermos you brought from home, chamomile and honey, still faintly warm. You sip it slowly, making it last, making it a meditation. You open the ledger one final time tonight and write your closing entry. 11:47 p.m. Closing round complete. All sections acknowledged and resting peacefully. The library has spoken its gratitude. I have spoken mine. We understand each other, this place and I. We are partners in the work of preservation, of care, of keeping watch over knowledge and beauty and human connection across time. Tonight I learned that I am part of a lineage stretching back more than a century. I learned that ordinary lives are extraordinary when witnessed with love. I learned that books are conversations that never end. I learned that rocks carry time itself in their substance. I learned that readers reach across decades through marginalia. I learned that songs can live in pages. I learned that the library itself is alive and aware and grateful for tending. Most of all, I learned, again, as I learn every night I work here, that I am exactly where I belong. That this work matters. That caring for these books, for this space, for the people who come seeking something they may not even be able to name, this is holy work. This is good work. This is enough. The night is deep now. The library rests. I rest with it, keeping watch, being present, honored to serve. Until morning, the evening librarian. You close the ledger and rest your hand on its leather cover for a long moment. You settle deeper into your chair, pulling a soft cardigan tighter around your shoulders, the one you keep here for these deep night hours when the building grows cool. Around you, the whispering library breathes its slow, eternal breath. The lamps burn steadily, patient as stars. The books rest on their shelves, their whispers quieted to the barest murmur, like the sound of the ocean held in a shell. The floors creak occasionally, speaking their wooden language. The walls hold everything safely, centuries of stone doing what stone does best, enduring. You could read more. You could do paperwork. You could wander the stacks again, discovering new treasures, new wonders. But instead, you choose stillness. You choose presence. You choose to simply be here, in this moment, in this place, doing nothing but existing alongside the books and shelves and whispers. This, too, is part of the work. The being. The witnessing. The quiet companionship with thousands of stories, millions of words, countless human thoughts and dreams and observations preserved and protected. Your eyes grow heavy. You don't fight it. In the deep night, in the hours between midnight and dawn, the evening librarian is allowed to rest. The library understands. It will wake you if something needs your attention. It always does. Your breathing slows, deepens, becomes rhythmic with the library's own breathing, until you can't quite tell where your breath ends and the building's breath begins. You are safe here. You are held here. You are home. Your head rests against the high back of your chair. Your hands lie folded in your lap. Your feet are tucked beneath you. You're not quite asleep, not quite awake. You're in that liminal space, that threshold between states, where dreams and reality blur together. In this space, you sense the library more completely than ever before. You feel its vastness and its intimacy. You understand, without words, what it means to be a keeper of knowledge. You comprehend, in some deep cellular way, that you are part of something that predates you and will outlast you, and that's not frightening but comforting. You are a link in a chain, a voice in a chorus, a keeper in a long lineage of keepers. Somewhere above, perhaps in Section J, perhaps in the rare books room, you sense Margaret Elizabeth Winters. Not her ghost, nothing so dramatic. Just her presence, her approval, her recognition that you understand what she understood, that this work is love made visible. Somewhere in the natural sciences section, Henry Castellan's specimens rest in their case, teaching still, inspiring still, fulfilling the purpose he intended. Somewhere on a shelf, Clara Ashton's journal waits for its next reader, its margins ready to receive new voices, new thoughts, new connections across time. Somewhere, Edith Morrison's plain green journal holds the evidence that an ordinary life, lived with attention and care, is a life well lived. And you are part of this now. Your name in the remembrance register. Your note in Clara's margins. Your care given to every book, every shelf, every whisper. You have added your thread to the tapestry. You have become part of the library's ongoing story. The clock ticks softly. The lamplight glows. The library breathes. And you rest in your chair, held by this place, cradled by centuries of careful preservation, embraced by the love that countless librarians have poured into these walls. Outside, the night continues its patient journey toward dawn. The stars wheel overhead. The world sleeps and dreams and slowly turns toward morning. But here, in the whispering library, time is gentler. Here, the night is not something to rush through but something to inhabit fully. Here, every moment is sacred because every moment is spent in service to knowledge, to beauty, to the human need to record and preserve and share. Your breathing is so slow now, so deep. Your consciousness drifts like a leaf on a gentle stream. You are here and not here, present and dreaming, awake and resting all at once. The library whispers its lullaby, thousands of voices speaking in perfect, patient harmony. Rest now, dear keeper. We watch with you. We keep you safe. You have tended us well. You have honored us. You belong here, now and always. Rest. Dream. Be at peace. We are here. We remain. We endure. And you are part of us now, woven into our story, carried forward into our future. Rest. Rest. All is well. All has always been well. All will continue to be well. Your last conscious thought, before sleep or meditation or some state beyond both claims you completely. Thank you. Thank you for this. Thank you for tonight. Thank you for everything. And the library, ancient, patient, alive, whispers back. You're welcome, dear one. You're always welcome. Sleep now. We'll keep watch together. Complete, peaceful silence. Just the sound of gentle breathing. Just the feeling of being held. Just the deep, abiding peace of the whispering library in its quietest hours. Fade to the softest darkness. Fade to rest. Fade to the certain knowledge that morning will come, but for now, for this perfect, suspended moment, there is only this: peace, safety, belonging, love. Sleep well, dear evening librarian. The books are grateful. The shelves are satisfied. And you are exactly where you belong.